What you're looking at right now is a series of artworks. We got photographs, illustrations, songs. They feel familiar, but they shouldn't. What? Chill, man. See, while pretty much all artwork ever is meant for humans, and occasionally a dog, these pieces are not. No, these artworks were made for aliens.
Who are these aliens?
Government property.
Stephen Hawking warned that communicating with alien civilizations could be dangerous.
Alright, yep, we're getting weird. Strap on your tinfoil beret because we're doing it. Art for aliens. What the heck is going on, man? Quick question, would you believe me if I told you that the first piece of art that was ever sent to the moon was a dick pic? You should believe me. It's true. Andy Warhol drew it. And when people were like, dude, are we really sending a dick pic to the moon? He was like, whoa, get your mind out of the gutter. It's just my initials, man.
If you have both of these things, any goal is possible.
But while the lunar dick pic and his 5 friends was the first ever artwork we sent to space, it wasn't the first ever artwork meant for space. As in the art's recipient is an alien, not another human. That would be a series of gigantic flaming shapes in the middle of the Sahara Desert. But before we get to that, I think it's important that we get on the same page, get our bearings with 2 important pieces of historical context.
2023.
The first piece of context comes from this year. Hell yeah, did you hear, buddy? Aliens are real.
I knew it!
In case you're out of the time loop or you've only seen the headlines, this Grush fella is an Air Force officer and former intelligence official, which kind of gives him a bit more authority than like some dude just being like, Sky thing.
Oh my God.
David Grush has second-hand information, and second comes right after first. But yeah, man, last week he testified in front of Congress saying aliens are real, spacecraft are real, and the government knows all about it. And if our first bit of context is that the American government apparently has a bunch of these dudes like just playing peekaboo at the Pentagon, then our second bit of context predates peekaboo altogether. Our second piece of context is all of human history. As a species, we are collectively obsessed by otherworldly stuff. The idea that there is something bigger going on, that there's something out there that we can't see, it's inseparable from the human experience. Art, aliens, both integral to the human psyche. Literally pick any era from any place in the world and there will be art about aliens. Ancient Japan, aliens. Ancient Tanzania, aliens. Medieval Europe, aliens, aliens, aliens. Oh man, there are plenty of people who truly believe that Jesus H. Christ himself was an alien. Hey, what's that H stand for?
According to Wikipedia, one commonly held origin is as an initial for the name Harold.
Jesus Harold Christ. Now, do I like these artworks? Yes. But do I think these artworks are irrefutable proof of alien visitation? Of course I do. I'm an idiot. But beyond my dangerously uninformed hunch, there is one objective conclusion that we can all agree on. And nobody said it better than Mr. Sci-Fi Man himself, Arthur C. Clarke. 2 possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. And if we're not alone and ETs are somewhere out there, how do we let them know that humans are somewhere out there too? In the year 1819 of Jesus Harold, a fella named Joseph Johann von Littrow decided that he wanted to say hi to all of the aliens. Old Jojo had a dangerously informed hunch that there was a bunch of aliens living on Mars, Venus, and probably the moon. But unfortunately for Jojo, getting up to space, his timing's a little bit off, because he's alive in the last rocketless century. So he plays the hand he's dealt and does the next best thing. He figures the best way to say hi to the aliens is to create a shape on Earth's surface, something that is so obviously unnatural and man-made that the moon men can't help but notice us. Basically, he wanted to do that thing that you see in Castaway movies, where they write help on the beach and hope that some plane is flying over and that the pilot's not a cannibal. And the plan to do this, to actually make this shape, was so freaking metal. Holy smokes, man, listen to this thing. Spoilers, the plan never got executed, but oh my god, listen to this batshit insane proposal. Let's draw a gigantic geometric shape in the Sahara Desert by carving out huge canals. Then we'll fill those canals with water, and on top of the water, kerosene. When it's night, we light the kerosene on fire. Now, if a colossal flaming pentagram in the middle of the Sahara Desert isn't enough for you, von Littrow kept going. These flaming kerosene canals, he wanted to have mechanisms that could close them off so he could make a different shape every night, start sending symbols to our moon friends. Turns out, von Littrow wasn't the only person who wanted to make a gigantic Earth shape. 1 year later, in 1820, a chap by the name of Carl Friedrich Gauss proposed a family-friendly sequel. Still gargantuan in proportion, but instead of the Sahara, Gauss wanted to do like a winter theme. His proposal for an alien communication space shape took place in Siberia. His plan instead was to take out these trees in lines that were like 10 miles thick and plant wheat. And just like our other backwards crop circle, this proposal also never took off. But here's the thing, while both of these proposals were rejected, don't get the wrong idea. What wasn't rejected was the vision. People definitely still wanted to talk to aliens. The clues that tell us this are once again found in art. Enter ManBat from the moon. In 1835, just 15 years after our boys had their summer and winter alien triangle dreams stomped on by the man, the world was treated to a brilliant piece of journalism from the sun. This freaking picture. Bunch of bat people, look at them, flying around. And before you say this is fake, this article was written by a doctor, Dr. Andrew Grant, who was working with the well-known incredible astronomer John Herschel. Except that he wasn't, and also Dr. Andrew Grant didn't exist.
But how could he do this to me? To us?
Turns out the whole thing was just some journalist dude called Richard Locke. He was a bit bored, just liked trolling and felt like selling a whole lot more newspapers. Turns out the great moon hoax and our little bat people friends took the sun from a, fish and chip paper to a household name. Or, in a way that sounds poetic if you don't think about it too much, I guess it was the moon that put the sun on the map. Makes you think. So the 19th century ticks on, and our collective appetite for aliens only grew. Some people had a hunch so large that they wanted to put their money where their hunch was. It's a weird sentence. In fact, one person, whose name I have to read out because it's quite long, Clara Guzman, French people, please correct me, was so sure that there were a bunch of aliens living in our solar system that she made finding them one of her dying wishes. In her will, she left 100,000 francs to whoever could establish interplanetary communication. The Prix Guzman. A huge stack of cash just to strike up a chat with an alien. Seemed too good to be true. But here's the part of the prize I love. She was so certain that there were aliens that she literally ruled out Mars from this competition, talking to a Martian, because she thought it would be, and I quote, too easy. You gotta work for the money, you know? That competition began in the year 1900, and obviously we haven't, talked to him. But even so, it'd still be a couple of decades before we actually started sending signals to the stars. Which meant that those decades of not talking to our alien cousins sort of acted as this incubator for our collective hunger for sci-fi shit. I'm talking about 20th century alien art. Yeah, you know it, we all know it. Take my word for this, because the proof will probably bore you, but I could talk about the way that aliens were depicted by 20th century artists until the mutilated cows come home. But that's not quite the story that I want to tell today. Because as cool as these images are, and oh my god they're cool, they are still artworks of aliens for humans. They were made for us. But what I want to talk about is the opposite. Artwork of humans for aliens. How do you make something for someone whose existence you can't comprehend? The first ever artwork of a human for an alien. You're looking at it. It's a solid gold plaque from Pioneer 10, a probe that was launched into space in 1972, and there it is right there, on the frickin' plaque. Here's the humans, there we are. That casting choice has caused quite a lot of controversy over the years. Got a nice little map on how to find us, and hopefully nobody misinterprets the scale, thinks that we're all the size of 1,000 suns. The Pioneer plaque was brought to life by Linda Sagan and John Lomborg, with Carl Sagan and Frank Drake. And in the simplest words, it's a message from humanity to someone. And this hadn't really ever been done before. Philosophically it had, history's full of thought experiments of how we might talk to other beings, but in 1972 we actually had to come to terms with the reality of what that looks like. And it's this Pioneer plaque. Given the existential baggage of this artwork and sending ET's little message requests, as you can imagine, this plaque caused a bit of a divide. A Jurassic Park-like divide.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should.
On one side, you have Team Y. They're cautious, they're measured, which makes for terrible press. So Team How is so much louder. How the hell do we talk to our space friends? And this brings us to our second official artwork.
It's probably time for me to confess something. That the reason that I'm making a video about aliens is because the word alien starts with A. So this video right here is actually episode 1 of a 26-part documentary series all about weird creative rabbit holes, where each topic starts with a different letter of the alphabet. I call this the alphabet superset, and I've even opened it up as a challenge. If you want to do it too, there's a bunch of resources and worksheet I'll link in the description. But setting all this up, it's been quite a bit of work, and one thing that's made both projects easier is today's sponsor, Epidemic Sound. Have you noticed that the sound in this video is really cool? Yeah, that's on Epidemic. If you're a YouTuber, if you make films, podcasts, anything where you need sound, then listen up, bucko. They got over 40,000 tracks and 90,000 sound effects, including such favorites as... And who could forget? But the thing I love the most is that when you download songs from Epidemic, you can download the stems. I can just take the drums, and if I want to swell, I can swell it myself. It's honestly amazing, man. It really ups the production quality. The other thing that I like about Epidemic is the way that they work with their artists, so they don't try to rip them off. They actually try to work with them on a long-term basis and pay them good and stuff. As a YouTuber, I love how dedicated they are to making sure there won't be any copyright issues. And they have this cool thing called the ear feature, which I find really handy. So let's say you like this track or just a little part of this track, you can give it to the ear feature and you can find heaps more just like that. If you are curious, if you want to try Epidemic, there's a link in the description for a 30-day trial.
The year is 1974. You got Watergate, Waterloo, what a freaking time. There's a rumble in the jungle. America leaves Vietnam, Turkey enters Cyprus. The skeleton of Lucy is discovered, the Rubik's Cube is invented, and future rides would forever be pimped because we even got the birth of Exhibit. Meanwhile, same year, over in some sinkhole in Puerto Rico, Team Howe is back at it again. Our dynamic duo consists of Carl Sagan and Drake. Frank Drake, certified alien lover boy, and these two guys are basically the grandfathers of Galactic Where's Wally. And together they made this. Cute little postcard. Isn't that nice? Our second official artwork of a human for aliens. This colourful little postcard is called the Arbo Message. But unlike the Pioneer plaque, which was made out of solid gold, the Arbo Message was not physical, depending on which physicist you ask. Instead, all of this was turned into an electromagnetic wave and just shot across the universe at the only speed it knows. The speed of frickin' light, baby! This makes our second artwork significantly more likely to find an audience. Still incredibly unlikely, but it's a lot more likely. Which then places even more importance on that question. What do you say? And also, how do you say it? How do you make sure the bat people get this and get this? You know what I mean? Alright, let's play a game. Here's our artwork. What do you think it means? If you want to play, you can pause now and give it a crack at decoding, because I'm about to give the answers. Up the top, written in binary, we have the numbers 1 through 10. You know them, you love them, base 10 baby, that's our thing. Underneath that, taking about 50% of the image up, we have a whole stack of information about our DNA. The chemical composition, the way the molecules are structured, even got the double helix, which honestly, if you ask me, this much space, it sort of feels kind of like we're just giving them a menu. Like, you hungry? Here comes the humans. Underneath that, we got us. Got that one right? Woohoo! This symbol here lets them know that we're all 5'9", and this one here lets them know that there are 4.2 million of us who can't play basketball. Underneath that, you got the solar system, back before Pluto was cancelled. And then finally, this thing. I had no idea what this thing was, and turns out it's the telescope that sent the message. But yeah, man, that's what it means. Over in the UK, home of 2/3 of the world's crop circles and 3/3 of Bananarama, we get the Arbo Reply. Here it is. Same but different. Key difference is we got that big old alien right there. Instead of carbon based, turns out our pen pals are made from silicon. And just how the original message was sent in a different format, so was the reply. What format was that? The Arbo Reply was a crop circle. Oh hell yeah, man, our silicon buddies are freaking space chads. They just made a freaking crop circle, dude! In a region notorious for crop circles. In a country notorious for crop circles. Oh god, it's the bat people all over again, isn't it?
But how could he do this to me?
Yeah, man.
To us?
This was fake. Fake as shit. Also, the Arbo message is going to take like 25,000 years to hit and then 25,000 to come back, so, you know, way to go, Blade. But let's just take one final look at the message. Because yeah, it has graphic elements which make it an artwork, but it's also just got a lot of objective information. Which is beautiful. It's an attempt to find a shared language using hopefully universal constants and mathematics, but not everyone thought that this was the right approach. Our story starts with this guy, Alexander Zaitsev, proud owner of the world's most intense face. Holy shit, man. Look at him. But he's more than just a crazy face, man. Zaitsev is a radio engineer and an astronomer, and he also has a pretty strong belief about how we should talk to aliens. He figured sending objective information like mathematics or the physical laws that govern the universe was sort of pointless. Should the ETs get the message, then they probably already know that stuff. He was just like, yeah, let's just skip the small talk. Also, it's weird small talk. It's like going to a party and asking someone to count to 10. Instead, Zaitsev said it's pointless to send anything but art. Art is unique to us. Art is what we do. Art is what it means to be from this frickin' planet, man. And so, in 2002, Zaitsev and his terrifying face launched a project called the Teenage Message. Mr. Crazy Eyes, in a very creepy on-paper move, decided to go to the internet to recruit a bunch of teenagers. And he got this group to construct a message. Zaitsev and the Teenagers, which sounds like a really weird band name, and come to think of it, they sort of are a band, chose to send their message as music. They decided to give the aliens a bunch of symphonies and folk songs played on the most sci-fi instrument of all time, the theremin, played apparently by the most 2002 looking teenager of all time. Every element in this story feels off-brand to the element that came before, but it was kind of a milestone in terms of sending art to aliens. See, the difference between the Pioneer plaque and the Teenage Message is that the Pioneer plaque was pre-made, but the Teenage Message was active. Basically, it was live streamed. Why I love this is because when something is made live, it's vulnerable. You can't edit, you can't take things back, mistakes, you just kind of gotta play through them. And all these little inconsistencies and imperfections, to me, that is humanity. Thanks, Crazy Eyes. Great job. When it comes to making art that represents all of humanity and then shooting it through space towards our intergalactic housemates who may or may not exist, there is, I'd argue, a magnum opus. I'm talking about the Voyager Golden Record. You know it, you heard about it, it's culturally revered, it's a freaking myth at this point, so let's jump back into the 1970s. A probe is shot into space with the intention to leave our solar system and then just keep going. And on that probe is the Golden Record. I reckon this record is one of the greatest pieces of creativity that humanity has ever made. Hell man, I might even give it the top spot. So let's talk about the record. And by the way, record here, it's not a metaphor. This thing is actually a record, like a vinyl record, but gold. So the aliens don't think we're poor.
Show me the door to the soul, my baby.
Now it's unlikely that aliens have record players. Don't worry, they thought of that. They've got some IKEA instructions on how to spin it.
You know that my heart's paved with gold.
This little symbol right here lets them know to spin the record at 5.1 billion hydrogen transition wave periods per rotation. And when they do, this is what they hear.
會影嘅禮物謝謝啊
Good.
各位好嘛
Audigiano.
Hello in over 50 languages, including some we don't even speak anymore, like ancient Sumerian. They'll hear the sounds of our world. Whales, rain, birds, frogs. And just like a normal record, there's music. Music from all across the globe. From Zaire, India, Georgia, Benin, Peru, Arnhem Land in Australia. The list goes on. There's Stravinsky, Mozart, and even Chuck Berry, sent in solid gold. One of the sounds that always gets me when I listen to this is at the end of the Hello track, Carl Sagan's son says hello from the children of Earth.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
It's something else, man. The entire project feels so perfect and pure, which is what makes this next part just that much more pathetic. Alright, you ready for a bit of human gossip? A bit of petty human gossip? So Carl Sagan wanted to complete the Voyager record with one track, but he didn't get to. And that track was Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. But you know what happened? EMI, the record company who held the rights to that song, just couldn't quite come to an agreement with NASA. Translation, greedy, want money, couldn't do it. Ugh. This to me is the definition of pathetic. Can you imagine that? Just being so caught up in the bullshit fantasy fiction of life that you think it's a better idea to honor a contract for a couple of bucks than it is to contribute to probably the most majestic piece of creativity that humanity has ever created? A literal interstellar time capsule that one day might be our only surviving artifact and the only evidence of our cultural legacy. Nah, there's a contract, bro. Lawyers. They're the real aliens. Anyway, the record also had pictures, photographs and illustrations and stuff. The ones that you're seeing right now, aren't they pretty? And not one picture of a contract. Alright, I'm gonna drop it. 116 images. Here we are. This is us. Eating, dancing, raising kids, playing the cello, getting faded, learning, smiling, striving to understand the world around us. The world we share and the world we build. Talking about the Golden Record, I'm gonna probably start sounding like a broken record, but dude, this whole thing is, to me, true art. And what I mean by that is it's a subjective attempt at a universal connection, to speak an objective language that is born from creativity. Basically, I love it, minus the whole Beatles thing. On that note of humans being petty humans, it's probably worth mentioning that art isn't always about expressing our best self. A lot of art is about expressing the truth. And Carl Sagan wrestled with this. Should he put in pictures of suffering, disease, famine, war? After all, if you want to tell our whole story, you got to tell our whole story. but ultimately Carl chose not to include them. And not because he wanted to present a sanitized image of Earth, but because he was weary that if some intelligent life force did find it, he was worried that these images would come across as a threat. Instead, he chose to put our best foot forward. And yeah, it's idealistic, but so is shooting a message to the stars. Sometimes creating from a place of optimism gets the critique that it's not authentic or realistic, but I think it's just a representation of what you want from the world, and that to me is authentic. What art do you make for aliens when you're pretty sure this whole thing's just gonna go up in flames? The Last Pictures is a project by the artist Trevor Paglen. While the Voyager record was sent into deep space full of hope, the Last Pictures are inside a satellite that is orbiting the Earth and will continue to do so until the Earth is no more. It's not going anywhere, it's here with us. And the pictures themselves, they're not trying to offer hope, they're trying to offer an explanation. If aliens arrive at Earth and find that we've destroyed our only planet and everything on it with nuclear bombs, at least our satellites will still be intact. And in one of those satellites, the Last Pictures will serve as a cautionary tale. What not to do as a species. And there are beautiful images as well, images of lovely stuff. But when you see them in black and white and they're side by side with pictures of destruction, it feels haunting. One of the photos in the collection is of that iconic cave painting in Lascaux in southern France. Looking at it, it's hard not to feel the parallel between it and the Last Pictures themselves. As Paglen puts it, cave paintings are an example of images or records that we have from cultures that have been radically torn from any historical context. They are, to us, what our spacecraft may be to the future. It's a lot to think about, and it does beg that question, right? If you were given the opportunity to leave a message to, I don't know, summarize all of humanity, what would you say? Genuinely, man. Like if instead of, I don't know, winning the lottery, you'd won some competition where all of a sudden you were taken to a super powerful telescope and they're just like, yo, say whatever, dude. What are you shooting to the stars? That'd be crazy. Also, it happened. In 2008, a small team of people outside of the world of astronomy were actually given that opportunity to shoot our cultural legacy to the stars. To say to the aliens, this is who we are. And here is what they said. Yep, it's a Doritos ad. Yeah, this actually happened. A Doritos ad was shot into space, into a solar system in the Ursa Major. They were deliberately aiming for an exoplanet that they thought could harbor life. Which means that this Doritos ad holds the distinction of being the first ever ad for aliens, I guess. Terence McKenna once said that mushrooms, the magic kind, they were aliens. And the way that they communicated with us was by making us trip balls. And what this illustrates to me is we have no idea if our messages are even on the same freaking dimension as our potential pen pals. But what I love is even with all of these unanswered questions, we keep trying. And the idea of making art for an alien, it really, just puts your existence into this huge cosmic perspective. A perspective that I wish I had more of in my daily life. But it's not all perspective. Because sometimes when I look at this art, I see a sadness to it, like a really deep sadness. I feel desperate, like a firework being shot from a dried up petri dish, or a message in a bottle hurled into a hurricane. The intention's there, but like both the message and the messenger are doomed. But to not send them, I mean, that'd be the saddest thing of all, right? And when I remember that, I start to feel it, the good stuff, the hope. The hope that this planet we're on, it's not alone. Life isn't meaningless. We're not just floating in some cold void of the universe waiting to die. But whatever it is, this feeling is at the core of my soul. Maybe this is just the call of spirituality that all humans feel and I just prefer dressing it up as aliens. It's a popular sci-fi trope to paint humans as an inferior species with primitive technology, being surveilled but left untouched. Like an undiscovered tribe. We'll just leave them be and maybe they'll figure out how to talk to us later. And some days, yeah man, it feels like it. But by and large, the humans are stupid trope, I know it feels a little bit unfair. I mean, yeah, we do dumb stuff, but we are also phenomenally curious and infinitely creative. We make art, songs, we dance, we sing, we build pretty houses, we cultivate gorgeous gardens. We invent upon inventions. We make sculptures that frickin' move with the wind, man. We took a pile of rocks and somehow built a rocket ship. We sent a golden record into deep space, a record that tells the universe that this species can write a damn good song. We are really creative monkeys, dude. Worth mentioning, you know? Who knows if we'll experience alien contact in our lifetime. All I know is that if it's art that brought them here, well, at least we made a good first impression. Thank you very much for watching. This was so much fun to put together. And if you liked it and you want another video with this vibe, check out this one. It's about fonts. Subscribe if you're new, of course. And I don't know, have an intergalactically lovely day, man. Catch ya.